Hi, this is Kim Lindquist with the Covered Call class, and it's August 15th, 2025, and I am talking to you on the third Friday of the month, and we're going to talk a little bit about some trades that I made and questions that I asked myself when I was making these trades. And hopefully this can help you out as well when you're considering different scenarios with your trading. So the first one I want to talk to you about is a trade I made in May, the end of May. The reason I'm looking up is not because there are words on the ceiling, but so I can remember. So the end of May, I bought 100 shares of MRK. That's Merck. It's a pharmaceutical company. And I felt that I bought them for $77.14. I felt that that was a low price for just how the year had gone for Merck. But pharmaceuticals in general were really getting beaten up all year long. So I had never done a covered call on Merck. That's a pretty expensive call for me. And but I had a lot of reasons to feel optimistic. And so I purchased the shares, cost me about $7,700. And in return, I sold a call. So I received, well, let me tell you what I did with the call. Um, I sold a call. The expiration date is 8/15/2025. If that sounds familiar, that's because it's today. And I did all this back in May, and I set my strike price for $80, and I received $400.10, five, 400, $4.10 per share on that trade. And so, number one, I got a pretty good premium, but also the reason for that time gap was I felt that's about 3 months. And I knew that during that time, there would be two important events happening. One would be an ex-dividend date, and what the other would be another earnings cycle. So I knew that, and I was only basing this upon historical data. So, it's just like in May, um, the beginning of May, it had earnings. And so you kind of go 3 months later, it's probably going to have earnings again. So, I looked it up, but yeah, yeah, they hadn't announced when earnings would be. So sometimes, you could just kind of add 3 months and go like earnings should be about the beginning of August. So my thinking was that number one, I was going to have a nice premium. I was going to have to own these for 3 months, which is a little longer than I wanted to. But again, that premium kept me pretty happy. And then I also had that ex-dividend date. So I knew that if I was going to probably own those shares over the ex-dividend date, and I would receive that dividend on top of everything else. And they have a pretty good dividend yield on Merck. So um, there's a lot of reasons to feel that that trade was going to work. So there's two questions I always ask myself, and is what do I think is going to happen? And I felt $80 was a reasonable target. And again, I felt even better about it because I was going to get a pretty big premium and a dividend. But I also felt that, the second question is always like, and what if that doesn't happen? And the fact was that owning at 77.40 or basically, and receiving $400 that brings me to around $73 a share. and which I think was below the 52-week low for Merck. And so I just felt really comfortable owning it at that price. And lo and behold, you know, I think after earnings, but after earnings, what happened was that the price dropped. It was like 79, 78. It looked like I was going to really own those shares at of Merck at that time. But I was just like, I'm just going to hold on. It seems to be all pharmaceuticals, no matter how well they were doing, they all kind of drooped a little bit at the beginning of August. And Merck was one that I just like, I'm just gonna wait to see if this can recover in the next 2 weeks. And it did. It more than recovered. I think it's trading at 83 or $84 a share today. So those shares were called away. Um, I I made $700, so I made almost 10%. Plus, I got a dividend. So I felt like that one worked out very well. And so I just, it's not here. I'm not here to go like, yeah, I'm awesome, but I'm here to go. That's how it works. And you ask yourself those two questions, like, would I be okay owning this at 73? And the answer was, yeah, no problem. Uh, so that's Merck. Um, the other one, the other thing I want to talk to you a little bit about is AI stocks this week. There was an opportunity there, um, not based on anything. I think there was one big loser in the AI market, and I think it was Big Bear AI. I am not an expert at AI. I barely can get the scammer functioning, but there's other companies, namely one that stock symbol is AI, and they have earnings coming up um, around the 5th of September. And so, and it lost almost 50% of its value based on what I can see is nothing of its own earnings loss. I think it's just, again, it's just kind of like um, AI stocks are, sometimes they're super popular and sometimes they're not popular at all. So this is what I did with that information was I felt that I did a cash secured put at $15 a share, expiring just 3 weeks from now when they'll have their earnings. And I received a pretty good dividend for doing that. And if I if that ends up not working out, so I will have those shares at about $14 a share. And with my premium, so I have them at 14, and I feel absolutely within, definitely within 2 or 3 months, but probably within a month, be able to turn that around and well, whether I have a $15 call or 16 or $17 call, I feel just because of the volatility in AI in general, that I think that's going to end up working out. So, it doesn't, well, time will tell on that one. So I've kind of told you about something I did in the past, something I have going on this week, and, you know, um, keep asking yourself those questions. That's one of those things that as individual investors, we don't get to say that out loud. Some One reason why I really wanted to, even do these classes is because I think that questioning of, what do you think is going to happen? And what if it doesn't happen? Then what are you going to do? is are two questions that I think are exceptionally valuable. So I think I've muttered to myself enough. But anyways, that's it's the third week of August. Uh, if you have questions, comments, my email should be somewhere around that you can shoot me an email. Otherwise, happy trading, and we'll see you next month on the third Friday of September.